Hey everyone, it's Stefan from Parents Guide Gaming, and let's talk about the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct that happened today. Now, big news coming out. Let's start with the top. Nintendo Switch 2 is going to come out on June 5th. Pre-orders for most retailers are going to start April 9th. So that's coming up here next week. Looks like the price, this didn't come out in the Direct, come out later when you went on the Nintendo site. Price is going to be $450. But then they are going to do a bundle with the Mario Kart World that they revealed, and we'll talk about a little bit here. But that'll be $500. Different things about the Switch 2. Switch 2 is 7.9 inches bigger, so it's a bigger screen. 1080, which is the frame rate, frames per second. So higher quality screen. It is an LCD screen, but does support high definition. The Joy-Cons connect with magnets now instead of sliding. They just pop right in there. It's going to have bigger SR buttons. The top buttons going to be bigger because those little tiny buttons kind of made it hard. These are like honestly huge. And the thumbsticks are going to be larger. Both Joy-Cons, new feature that comes out with the Switch, are going to support a mouse feature. So you lay them on their side. Like I'll use the remote here. There's Joy-Con. You lay it on the side like this and like this. Both will work as a mouse like that, which is really cool because that'll bring out a lot more games that would need kind of like could use mouse support more. Also a new feature and just different gameplay. We'll talk about a few games that come out with that. A 3D sound with headphones. So that's an interesting feature. Knowing like where things are, like in first-person shooters, like shot in the right, and then you'll hear more on the right, less on the left. So you kind of know where the shot is. That's pretty cool coming out. Larger stand. So like the Switch had a little stand at the end. This is the whole pretty much back U is a stand for that. It goes pretty flat, which is kind of crazy. 2 USB ports, so one on the top, one on the bottom, which is nice because it's hard when like you're playing in handheld mode. You want to charge, you can charge it up top, and also there's a feature coming out that'll plug into the top. 256 gigs of memory. They talked about how it's 8 times bigger memory than the Switch original. Switch came with. When you plug in the Switch 2 to the dock, it supports 4K to the TV, which is really nice. It's a nice high definition. Also, there is a fan in the back of the dock to keep it cool. Backwards compatible with Switch games, so you play your Switch games, most Switch games, they say. It'll be interesting to see the list when they come out of what games aren't included in that. Backwards compatible. A C button, which is come on, people keep wondering about, is actually a chat mode, which is kind of nice, a local chat mode, local to the thing. With the Switch, you had to use, if you want to do a chat, you had to do a separate app. This is directly with the Switch, you can chat. Kind of interesting things, built-in game chat with the mic in the Switch. So you don't need like a microphone separately. It'll be on the Switch itself. You can play different games. If you say like 4 people in your chat, you could all be playing different games. Actually share your screen as well, so you all see what you're doing, which is kind of crazy. And I wonder how it didn't look like great on the demo, but it's also the demo. And who knows, that'll be crazy. Like I can purchase different games. A camera. They're going to have a Switch 2 camera, which actually, as I looked it up, it's $50. So you can use it to play certain games as well, but also have a face-to-face chat with people as you're playing games. You will need online to use the chat feature, they said, but it will be free from release to March of 2026. That was kind of the overview of the Switch. That went on pretty high up. I kind of speed this up here. A couple games that they highlighted. Mario Kart World was the first one. It's going to be, it's got 3 modes, features. Classic Circuit, which will have 24 races, which is the most I've had. I think most is 12. I think 12 was on 8 Deluxe. 24 places. A knockout race mode. So, and a knockout race mode where you race and to a certain circuit, you race multiple circuits, and to the checkpoint, a certain number of people drop off. And then a free roam. So this is pretty much kind of like an open world racing game. The Classic Circuit 24 player also is interesting because usually there's a break in between each race. Well, everything's connected. So you actually have your race and then you race to the next track as well, which is kind of crazy. There'll be new characters and it'll also be a launch title for the Switch too. Another game that they showed, interesting concept idea, is Welcome Tour, and it shows off. It's kind of you roam and you learn about the Switch 2, different things. It is a paid game. It didn't say how much it was, but it'll be interesting. Like I said, learn about the Switch 2. That will be on release. A game that they showed off that is not going to be a Switch 2 release, but is going to be one of the main games with the new mouse feature. So it both using mouse like this is called Drag and Drive. It is a pretty much concept wheelchair basketball, uses the mouse control features, and it comes out 2025. And then another big game that showed off, a Switch 2 exclusive, the Dusk's Blood. It's from Software, which is Bloodborne, Elden Ring, Dark Souls, the creator of those games. Really hard gameplay, big bosses. Going to come out 2026, which is great that they showed it off, but that's a little far out now still. And it'll only be available on the Switch 2. And then they showed off Donkey Kong Bonanza, which will be the new Donkey Kong game coming out. A couple of things that they showed off here. They showed off Game Share, which will be an interesting feature. Play some local games locally without the game. So like you and a friend want to play. They showed off 51 games and then a few others. I think Mario Jamboree, Mario Party, where you can play a game, but everyone does not have to have the game. You can share that. It's kind of really interesting. Looks like, and they said it will be available online as well. So I wonder how that will work. But that'll be great. The cartridges will look the same, the game cartridges, but they will be red, so that they signify that they are different for Switch 2, but pretty much the same exact look. Probably end up taste bad as well. We'll see about that. Only micro SD SD cards, so like high-end memory cards for that will work with the system. There is going to be a system transfer feature from Switch, so your games, your save datas, your accounts from Switch to Switch 2, so they'll come in them. Talk about new Pro Controller, pretty much the same as the other one, except for has the chat button. So you press the C button on the controller, brings up the chat menu, and talk. I wonder if you can mute it from there too, but it looks like that's a separate thing. Built-in back buttons, which would be awesome because nice to have those when you're doing that. And then they also talk about games that are going to be upgraded from Switch to Switch 2. Games like Mario Party Jamboree, it's Mario Party plus TV, and then Breath of the Wild, Legends of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom are going to get a helpful app that connects your phone with the game, and it'll be like a map feature, and you can do like, it's honestly what someone put it, and I like this idea, is it's GPS for that game. So get to the Kirby the Forgotten Land is getting any story mode, and those 4 games, so Mario Party Jamboree, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and Kirby's Forgotten Land, all will be, you have to pay for that upgrade. So if you already own the game, you can just pay for the upgrade. I do not know what that is yet. I'll have to take a look. But you pay for the extra stuff, kind of like DLC. But if you buy it just on Switch 2, it'll just have everything with it. They also show Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Will be on both Switches, but the Switch 2 will have the mouse control features, and will also have 2 TV modes. So a quality mode, so it'll be almost 4K set at 60 frames per second, or a fidelity mode, which will be higher frames, so up to 120, but less, not 4K, more 1080. And then Pokemon ZA will also be on different ones, but it looks like just be an upgrade for that. Switch Online with the Switch 2, that will still be there. So playing the classic Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega. But they did say the expansion pack was going to expand with the Switch 2 and have an offer of GameCube games, which is quite awesome because people win that. Legend of the Wind Waker, and they showed off a couple other ones. That will be available on launch, and they are coming out with a GameCube controller for the Switch, which will be nice. They did show off a bunch of games for the Switch for launch day. I'm going to read these off. Arcade Archives 2 Ridge Racer, Bravely Default Flying Fairy HD Remaster, Cyberpunk, which is pretty crazy, is going to be on the Switch 2 Ultimate Edition, Deltarune, chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 3 and 4 are brand new. 1 and 2 have been out for a year. 3 and 4 coming out, that's pretty crazy. Fast Fusion. Fortnite will obviously be available on Switch 2. I'm not surprised about that one. Hitman World of Assassination Signature Edition will be release date. Hogwarts Legacy, so there's some enhancements with that, using the mouse controls and all that. They said that. I don't know if there'll be an upgrade for that. I don't think so, but we'll take a look at that. Kitsune Path of the Goddess, Nobuyachi Ambition Awaken Complete Edition. If I butcher that, I apologize. Puyo Puyo Tennis 2S, Rune Factory, Gardens of Azuma, Sid Meier's Civilization 7, and that 2 will be same thing with that is on the Switch, and the Switch 2 will be mouse. Split Fiction coming to Switch 2, which will be amazing. Street Fighter 6, which is kind of a shock to me, coming out. Seasons 1 and 2 of that, because they do seasons now of Street Fighter 6. Survival Kids, and then Yakuza 0 Director's Cut will also be a Switch release title, launch day. Games coming out later in the year. This will be kind of a longer list, I apologize. Tamagotchi Plaza, they showed that off in the Direct last week. Randugu Remaster Mystery of the Soulless Army. Shadow Labyrinth, that is the Pac-Man-esque game that had the secret level Amazon Prime series episode. No Sleep for Nakamine Date from AI to the Solon Files. Wild Hearts S will be coming out to the Switch. Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar, that was revealed again. Demon Machina Tonics Scion, that's coming out. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 is going to be on the Switch later this year. Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, which will be interesting. Hyrule Warriors, there's been 3 games out like that. It's like a Dynasty Warriors, so like 1 against thousands of people, and you beat them up. Those are pretty crazy. Marvel Comic Invasion, they showed that. Witchbrook, they showed that. And the Pokemon Legends EA will be out later this year. I talked about that. Borderlands 4, that is going to be on Switch, which is pretty crazy. I guess they did have Borderlands 3 on the Switch, so Switch 2 coming out. Big announcement, Elden Ring Tarnished Edition. So the people that are doing the Dustbloods, the game of the year 2 years ago, which From Software did, will be on the Switch 2, which is quite crazy. Amazing. We'll see if the couple of their games show up. Goodnight Universe, Hollow Knight Silksong. So that has gotten official confirmation that it will come out this year. That has been one of the biggest secrets around. People have been wondering about that. Kirby Air Riders, a game. This is the sequel to a game and older. Professor Lathium and the New World of Steam. Reanimal. Star Wars Outlaws coming to Switch to 2 Point Museum as well. And that'll be coming out, they said 2025, that's everything 2025, that'll be coming out. 2026. Enter the Gungeon 2, Starseeker, the Astronaut Editions, the Dustbloods, like I talked about, and to be announced, so I'm guessing will be the next iterations of these. EA Sports FC, so the football game for EA. EA Sports Madden as well, so I'm guessing next year. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. So the first of the Final Fantasy, they did a remake series. They are now in the second one of that on the PlayStation 5, but they're going to start releasing on the Nintendo Switch, starting with the first one, which is Remake Intergrade. Hades 2 is coming to Nintendo Switch. I know Hades was huge on the Switch, so that's pretty awesome that Hades 2 is coming out. That is in early access right now, but that's coming out later. They don't have a specific date. Humans Fall Flat 2 is going to come out. And then also Project 007, so a James Bond game coming out to the Switch. Also NBA 2K and NBA 2K and WWE 2K as well are going to come to the Switch. I'm guessing. I don't know which ones are those because WWE just came out, so that'll be interesting to see what that will be. So those are the games. One thing they did not show, and I guess they talked about it a little bit in the reveal, but I missed it. But I saw a couple of different videos. Like Mario Kart World will be $80 starting out as a game. Donkey Kong Bonanza will be $70. The Nintendo Switch Pro Controller will be $80, and it looks like Joy-Con 2, a pair of them, will be $90. So everything does go a little up here with the Nintendo Switch 2. That was a overview of what the Nintendo Direct was. If you have any questions, I can always look it up and all that. Let me know in the comments below. If you like the content, please subscribe. If you want to support the channel, please support us on Patreon. if you want to follow Parents Guide Gaming on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. And thanks for watching.